Halito, greetings in the Chata tongue. Siyo, greetings in the Tahlagi tongue, or Cherokee. I come with a real-life story of one of our great ancestors, Utsi dsata, who lived true to the Ane Tahlagi Ane Yawi, or the Tahlagi people. He was a man of rhythm. He voiced truth, stood strong, and fought with necessary opposing force as the foreign European pale-face intruders continued to spread daily onto the traditional ancestral lands of the aboriginal indigenous of Yakni Ilumpa, this land. He kept the Tahlagi out of the wars fought among the Europeans against each other, like buzzards over lands and resources that did not belong to them. Being unassimilated, meaning not absorbed into the foreign European culture, Utsi dsata was not afraid of the colonizer. He'd remind you of the last of the great voices of truth and sincerity in the North America place name, Malcolm Little, known as Malcolm X, before he became aware of self and then made the transition. This video will include Utsi dsata in 1785 confronting the colonizers' Provisional Continental Congress, aka 13 British American colony heads before the invaders formed the United States corporate system that was never meant for the indigenous to continue to live free. Also included is the circumstances surrounding his transition from the physical. To give you a little background, in 1738 of the European calendar, Utsi dsata was born from a natural Tahlagi woman onto this earth realm. In 1788, he made the transition from the physical to an expansion in spirit. Our ancestors perceived and understood soul, spirit, and body intrinsically. Most of this lifetime have forgotten this inner awareness and replaced that awareness with the Europeans' profitable system of belief and illusion that the colonizers misaligned and handed to the aboriginal indigenous as death. The transition is what all experience. It's that shift in perception, form, and movement in expanded consciousness in the ever-continuation of life after life to other states of being. Utsi dsata held the familiar position of Minko among the Overhill Tahlagi region on the western side of the Appalachian Mountains. Known today as the colony state of Tennessee place name, Minko in the Chata tongue, or Didatini Dohi in the Tahlagi tongue, means chief or leader in the colonizer's language, as with our Okla, Chata Tahlagi, meaning Chata and Tahlagi being one of the same in sharing the same lands where our clans and tribes shared languages, cultures, and spoke the language of the universe. We held lands in common, lived free, held ceremonial observances, and respected nature, aligned with the changing seasons. Our places were the flatlands, highlands, mountains, plains, the dense forests, and sandy beachlands. We traded our goods, studied life, built structures, and were self-sufficient. We had the heart of Earth Mother, a living, thriving being. Our abodes were always by fresh running water of the streams, rivers, lakes, oceans, and by the sea, where we are still displaced to this day by the colonizers, but gradually returning. Uka, in Chata, is water, that precious life-sustaining element that represents movement, emotion, intuition, and purpose. It's one of the 4 inner seasons that we recall to remembrance in our observances, as well as Yakni, or earth, soil, or ground being foundation and structure. Lue ak, or fire as the spark, ignition, inner drive, and intention, and ma li, air, that which lifts, our thoughts, our spirit. As with all of nature and life, seen and unseen, we intuitively felt coming change. Before European programming, Aboriginal Indigenous intuitively felt moments that mattered. We're clean people in mind and body. We respect the balance of nature and learn by the study and responsibility to that living being. Earth Mother. Fresh water made life easier in keeping clean, being absent of sickness and disease, and the continuation of life, since all life, be it animal or plant, need fresh, clean water to thrive in wholesomeness. It was common that entire clans or tribes collectively fished, hunted in abundance, living free in our villages among the untamed, uncontrolled, or unsurveilled by foreign Europeans in the natural state. We gathered or just picked the variety of fruits, nuts, and berries in season to eat from the trees, bushes, and plants in abundance from rich, untampered soil. We recognized and thanked the fish, plants, and animals for providing nourishment and for what we used to heal ourselves. We passed the knowledge on, involved in activities during the day, under the shade of the trees, or under the clear moonlit starry sky of the night. We burn our fires, enjoyed dance and singing with much rhythm, as we have done till this day. No need for the colonizer's form of decadent civilization, of colonizer-led incompetence, dominance, and control. Foreign restrictive laws, artificial boundaries, enslavement disguised as jobs, 5 food groups, doctors' offices, churches at every turn, pharmacies, grocery stores, music and entertainment industries, corporate farming, inner and outer cities, fictional economy, cages they call jails prisons, and pile of tricks and or politics. We had our own cultures aligned with the universal abundance of nature. The papers of the heartless nation of European pale faces that call themselves white and American, and other crayon colors for everyone else, enslave their own people. Those papers they call constitutions and treaties have no mysterious power. These foreigners are intruders, yet they stay in occupation of the land because we aboriginal indigenous, who were already on this land from unmeasured in time, have been conditioned to be so afraid to refuse to continue doing their biddings and void their worthless pieces of paper or demanding them to leave, taking with them all the aforementioned. To give a little bit of his story, in 1784, after North Carolina colony operators passed an act to cede or give away previously stolen Western lands to fellow colonizers in a manufactured organization that they called Continental Congress, head colonizers in the Trans-Appalachian region held a convention at Jonesboro Place name to vote on political colonizer statehood. Also, draft a new colonizer constitution. In 1785, in their colonial government institution, the foreign European John Sevier was elected their governor. Also in 1785, Utsi dsata confronted the colonizers at their Continental Congress, and this is what he expressed.
Members will calm down.
As Speaker, on this July 1785 year of our Lord, this Second Continental Congress have discussed the overwhelming issues regarding how to inconspicuously steal the lands, minimize the bloodshed of our own, and settle our own without authority, and by not clearly visible, or attracting any attention in the foreseeable perpetual future. So calm down, and at least pretend to listen to what this engine, we call Corn Tassell, has to say. Before we trick these aboriginal indigenous folk into the Hopewell Treaty Agreement that we so delicately prepared for them, since they cannot read, nor understand the meaning of our foreign European language, we must coerce them to draw an X on our paper, since they cannot write our foreign text, as well. So, let this engine proceed.
It is a little surprising that when we entered into treaties with the Pale Faces, their whole cry is more land. Indeed, it once seemed to be a matter of formality with them to demand what they knew we dare not refuse. But on the principles of fairness, and in the name of free will and equality, I must reject your demand in this proposed treaty. Suppose I were to ask one of you Pale Faces, under what kind of authority, by what law, or on what pretense the Pale Face makes this huge demand of nearly all the lands we hold between your unlawful settlements and our villages. Would the Pale Face tell me that it is by right of conquest? No. If he did, I should reply that we had last marched and won over our unlawfully occupied territory. Nay, some of our warriors, for whom we have not yet had an opportunity to recall or notify of the general treaty, are still in the woods and continue to keep his people who are in fear. If merely marching through a country is sufficient reason to lay claim to it, we shall insist upon your giving up your settlements from where some of our warriors advanced against you in the course of last year's campaign. Let us examine the facts of your present eruption into our country. What did you do? You marched into our territories with a superior force. Your numbers far exceeded us, and we fled to the stronghold of our extensive woods, there to secure our women and children. Thus, you marched into our villages that were left to your mercy. You scattered and killed defenseless individuals, spread fire and desolation wherever you pleased, and returned again to your own unlawful settlements on our lands. Were we to inquire by what law or authority you set up a claim? Therefore, I answer, none. Your laws do not apply in our country, nor ever did. You talk of the law of nature and the law of nations, and they are both against you. Indeed, much has been spoken about the lack of what you term civilization among the indigenous. Many proposals have been made to us to adopt your laws, your religion, your manners, and your customs. But we confess that we do not yet see the rightness or practicality of such a step. We should be better pleased with beholding the good effect of these doctrines in your own practices than with hearing you talk about them, or reading your papers to us upon such subjects. You say, why do not the indigenous till the ground and live as we do? May we not, with equal justice, ask, why do the Pale Faces not hunt and live as we do? You pretend to think it no injustice to warn us not to kill our deer and other game from the mere love of waste. But it is very criminal in our young men if they kill a cow for food when they happen to be in our lands that you unlawfully occupy. We wish, however, to be at peace with you, and to do as we would be done by. We do not quarrel with you for killing an occasional buffalo, bear, or deer on our lands when you need one to eat. But you go much farther. Your people hunt to gain a livelihood by it. You massively kill our game. Our young men resent the injury, and it is followed by bloodshed and war. The great spirit of nature has placed us in different situations. It is true that you are endowed with many super advantages, but the great spirit had not created us to be your slaves. We are a separate people. The great spirit has given each their lands under distinct considerations and circumstances. The Great Spirit has stocked yours with cows, ours with buffalo, yours with hogs, ours with bear, yours with sheep, ours with deer. The Great Spirit has indeed given you an advantage in this, that your cattle are tame and domestic while ours are wild. and demand not only a larger space for range, but skill to hunt and kill them. They are, nevertheless, as much our property as other animals without our consent, or for something equivalent.
In 1786 through 1788, Indigenous Ishtatata, or the Creek Indigenous, conducted sporadic raids at the eastern Georgia colony place name. Utsi dsata could not hold back the flood of white pale-face European settler colonizers from taking over Yakni Ilumpa, this land. Much like the bloodshed and destruction the pale-faces orchestrate without conscience, as witnessed today in Palestine and other places all over Earth Mother. It is self-evident that, like it was then and as it is now, the nature of these foreign beings is incapable of changing to benefit the whole. But in one of the many great losses and violent colonizer upheavals in a once peaceful Yakni Ilumpa was the dreadful summer of 1788. According to Colonizer, Colonel Martin, who was near the Overhill Talagi Chota village, located in what is now called Monroe County, Tennessee, place name, where pale-faces started more of their usual mayhem. The Chota consisted of a central plaza, a longhouse for council, and several separate clan dwelling structures, but has since been erased by present-day colonizer offspring, and now just a lifeless dirt memorial, as with the hundreds of thousands of other ruins done by the pale-face worldwide. As usual with settler colonizers, trouble began when, without provocation, a pack of so-called civilized pale-face whites brutally killed an elderly Talagi woman and critically wounded 2 young children. They plundered the Chota. They forcibly and destructively ransacked the place, stole goods and valuables. Their governor, John Sevier, quickly commanded and rounded up a militia of 150 backwoods, pale-face, mounted frontiersmen for the sole purpose of inflicting pain as punishment on the aboriginal indigenous people for defending themselves and lands from continued violent intrusion, like today's policy enforcers called police, sheriffs, highway patrol, military. These colonizers plundered another nearby Chota village, killing many more indigenous people, and drove others into the mountains. In the meanwhile, an indigenous man, Slim Tom, attacked foreign Kirk family settler colonizers where they were squatting, killing all the family members who were there at the time and left their bodies where they laid. Foreign pale-face major and militia member named James Hubbard showed up at Utsi dsata's place and told him to attend a council meeting with other Minkos at another chief's place. Utsi dsata agreed to attend, along with his elder son. While crossing the river to get to their destination in their okafalama, meaning water, to carry, to float, in the colonizers' English language, meaning boat, they had a white flag of truce lifted on their okafalama boat, but Utsi dsata didn't know that he was set up to be ambushed and slaughtered. Hubbard waited till all the Minkos were present and seated when he signaled his men, one being John Kirk Jr. of the squatting colonizer family that Slim Tom killed, to come forth with a tomahawk hatchet in hand. No attempt was made for reasonable talking to determine the cause and the effect, or what could be done to stop the continuing cycle of intrusions and killings inflicted on the indigenous on our lands that result in the killing of the foreign pale-faces. John Kirk Jr. with the other pale-faces began viciously butchering all the indigenous Minkos, as if gone mad in a slaughterhouse, and like today's serial killers, to a bloody death as revenge for the killing done by another man who was not even present. In Chata, the entire Hatukimataha, meaning people who sit in assembly, or Hatukiman Ompoli, meaning people who speak for the people, the entire assembly of indigenous Minkos was attacked. One by one, the chiefs that were axed to death were Utsi dsata, his son, and Minkos, Fool Warrior, Longfellow, Hanging Maw's brother, Abram. The colonizers' governor, Sevier, and his militia rode off, leaving the bodies where they were indiscriminately and cruelly butchered to death. The colonizers' behavior has not changed to this very day, worldwide. Their cruelty continues without conscience. A thing's nature cannot change in this realm. They know who and what they are. But have the indigenous forgotten who we really are? That which has the creative ability to form a difference beyond the colonizer's nature. Not fearful. Questions. From the experiences of our ancestors to this moment, what is this showing me? What is the lesson? What are the lessons to learn here?
Techi Hila Anchimaka. I love you, Mother Earth.